Saw that sneaky plug there, Gary Bolter. Very clever. Thanks to Gary Bolter from Outcasts Australia for doing that very cool intro sequence. It's very kind of him. So, welcome to my regular spot, my Wednesday weekly roundup. Seems like a good day of the week to do it because it's a day when I'm generally free. We teach, we teach at the Outcast acting class on Mondays. And we're just about to start a new production, and we'll have rehearsals on Tuesdays and Thursdays pretty soon. And some of those, there'll be some stuff online about that as well. But this is an actual play that people can go and see in London. More about that another time. But first of all, we're going to talk about the shows and stuff that I've seen this week. But before we get to that, I want to dedicate tonight's show to actor Lance Reddick. That was a real shock when he passed away late last week, I think it was, or just a few days ago. And he's an actor that I've followed his career from quite an early stage. Catania is in the chat. Dude, you can come on this if you want. If you're free, I sent you the link. You're welcome to come and have a chinwag with me about. Doesn't matter whether you've watched the same things as me or not. I'm always up for a guest. So I have got a few things to talk about, but I want to talk about Lance Reddick first. So let's get up his IMDb because I would like to talk about the work that first brought him to my attention. I'm very much a character actors guy, and I always look at the people playing supporting roles in films. Oh, I got the date wrong. He was born, in fact, in 1962, but in the source that I had, it was 1963. So I think I better let's just correct that. So we're going to take that off for a second because I like these things to be correct. So, I mean, I've just made him older, which, he perhaps wouldn't mind being a little bit younger, but there we go. All right. So he's just 60 when he passed away. A resident of Baltimore, Maryland is where he grew up. And initially he sought a career in music, which probably a lot of people don't know. But eventually he diversified and looked at acting. Now, he had 112 acting credits to his name. Most people will know him from the John Wick movies. And of course, he's got a key role in John Wick 4, which has yet to be released in the UK. I think it's dropping in America this week, if I remember rightly. Now, I remember him from shows like Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, the main Law and Order show. These are the first things that I saw him in. And there are a lot of actors that do guest appearances in the Law and Order franchise who do go on to great things. You'll see Law and Order in the early parts of people's CVs is pretty frequent. It's where a lot of people cut their stuff. But the thing that brought him to my attention was as John Basil in the TV show Oz. Now, if you haven't seen Oz, it's a really super gritty prison drama series that launched the careers of many an actor. Really, really good actors too. John Sillinger, who was played by J.K. Simmons, or Vern Sillinger, sorry. That's the show that brought J.K. Simmons to everybody's attention. There's a number of actors in here that pop up in the show who are also in Band of Brothers. Harold Perrineau is an absolutely fantastic actor, and he's the main narrator of the show. Eamon Walker of Karim Saeed is another fantastic actor who's in the show. Luna Velez is really good as the hospital doctor. B.D. Wong, of course, Kirk Acevedo, Band of Brothers. There's a lot of people who broke out their career in Oz, who sort of got themselves noticed. And one of those people was Lance Reddick, and it was the show that brought him to people's attention. I mean, he had what you call amazing screen presence. I also own a copy of The Siege. That's the film with Bruce Willis, I believe. Yep, there we go. And it's a pretty good movie. It's a bit of a strange one, but it's not a bad film by any means. That was one of the first films I ever got for my DVD collection when I finally got rid of my videos. So just want to look through some of the other things of his career, and I'm going to mention a couple of things that are worth seeing with him in if you haven't seen them. Now, he was in all 60 episodes of The Wire, of course, playing Lieutenant Cedric Daniels. That was a role that really put him on the map. Oz kind of launched his career. The Wire secured it. The Wire really locked it down for him. Copa Catania is talking about him in Bosch. Yeah, now I've only seen the first few episodes of Bosch. I haven't seen the whole thing. That's a show I do need to go back and watch from the beginning again, I think. But I wanted to give it the time it deserved. As it sort of time went on, he did various roles in different TV shows. He did Won't Back Down, of course, which is a film that's become a little bit of a franchise now. He was General Caulfield in White House Down. I haven't seen him in the Wanda Sykes stand-up show, but that's got to be worth checking out. He was in the Old Boy remake, which I've got to be honest, I refuse to watch because I'm not a big fan of remakes, particularly if the first version is still very current and not that old. If it's just remade for America, I'll usually kind of back away. Did a couple of episodes of Blacklist. I did see that. Blacklist is a show that's worth watching. And now you're coming into 2014 and, of course, his John Wick era where he plays the hotel manager. A lot of other TV bits. Quantum Break, which I haven't seen. Lawman, that's a short. I didn't see that either. So, I mean, really, the stuff that you're probably going to want to see him in is Oz and The Wire. So, most people have seen The Wire, of course, but a lot of people have not seen Oz, and Oz is a fantastic film. Now, he also does one of the voices in Paradise PD, which is a great show. It's very funny. It's available on Netflix, I think. Agent Clappers, goes like the Clappers, and that's a show that's worth checking out. You might want to check that out if you like your kind of Family Guy and that sort of thing. Anyway, I said I would raise a glass to Lance Reddick on tonight's show, so I'm going to do that now. What a great actor, taken before his time. Would have loved to have worked with him. Would have loved to have seen him on stage. I bet he would have commanded incredible stage presence. Here's to you, sir, and safe journey into the next chapter, the one that awaits us all at some point. Cheers, Lance Reddick. All right, so let us move on to the shows I have been watching this week. I'm going to talk about A Town Like Malice first. So, my good friend Jason Flemyng, A Town Called Malice, I do apologize, informed me he was going to, I forget if it was Lanzarote or somewhere like that. Anyway, he was going to one of the islands, one of the Spanish islands, to film this TV show. And he did ask me if I wanted to come out and stay with him for a week. And for various reasons, that didn't happen, sadly. But the show that he was filming was this one, A Town Called Malice. It's getting very mixed reviews on IMDb at the moment. It's produced, directed, and co-written by Nick Love, who many people will know for films like The Firm and The Football Factory. Goodbye Charlie Bright, and he's The Business. Nick Bright is kind of Nick Love is very interested in sort of pop art films. I think his films are very much pop art. They're very kind of bright poppy colors. He likes the decade of the 80s and the early 90s, I guess, and that's when he grew up. And a lot of his characters come from that world. come from the working class. You know, his films have got a certain stamp about them, and you either like them or you don't. Now, so A Town Called Malice, of course, Jason, it's one of the few times that Jason Flemyng has actually finally been given a role that, you know, he can get his teeth into, and he's really good in this. Let's go through some of there's a few pictures here, so I'll just pop them up. So, I mean, it's basically about a criminal family, the Lord family. The young son falls in love with a new girl, and for reasons that I won't get into, the family relocate to Spain. And this is one of the young sons. I think I've met this actor. I think I saw him in a play, but I could be wrong. But I feel like I met him, George Jacks. You've got a pretty interesting mixed cast. A very interesting casting choice in particular is Martha Plimpton. There she is on the left as the mother, as Mint Marlord, which is an interesting name on itself. Now, Martha Plimpton would not be an obvious choice to play a gangster's mole from South London. But she does an incredibly impressive job. I was quite impressed with her. I like her character. She's very consistent in the piece. Her and Jason as husband and wife have a great chemistry together. They're really good in their scenes together. I liked them. I'm going to give a few other actors a shout out as well. Liza Butterworth, I thought, did very well with the material that she was given. Her role was very underwritten. I've seen, sorry, I just can't qualify. There are 8 episodes and I've seen 7 of them. So I binged it last night. I watched 2 today. I watched 5 last night up until 4 in the morning. And, you know, it is a mixed bag, but I'll come on to that in a minute. I'm just going to stick with cast. Jason, listen, I'm a bit biased because, you know, he is one of my best mates, but Jason he's not given enough roles where he's got a bit of meat. And here he really gets to do something with the character. And he's deliberately tried to play a character that is as far removed as possible from anything else he's done. And he does a superb job. Tahira Sharif is really good in the role that she's given. I think her character, I think she suffers a bit from the dialogue that she's got. And I'm going to talk about the dialogue in a bit. Jack Roan is essentially the lead in a way. It's kind of his story. He's an actor I've seen in a couple of things. I just was curious. Noughts and Crosses, that's what I've seen him in. Noughts and Crosses, yeah, he was good in that. So he's a good actor. I think he's got a really strong career ahead of him. Daniel Sharman's not bad, but his role is a little bit underwritten again. Not everybody gets perhaps equal meat on the bones of their characters. I like Lex Sharpnell as an actor. I really rate him. I think he's very good. I've seen him in quite a few things. I think I've also seen him on stage, if I remember rightly. And 48 acting credits. He's done a fair bit of work. I remember him from Harlots. I remember him from Prime Suspect 1973. I remember him from Grimsby. I remember him from Crossing Lines. Sons of Liberty. I've also got the DVD of that. So he's done a few American productions as well. SEAL Team 8, for example. He had a role in Captain America. Listen, all the Marvel films just blur into one for me. But I've seen him in quite a few bits and pieces. Now that's interesting. In the Jonathan Frakes Thunderbirds film, which no one should ever mention in my presence. As you can see, I'm a bit of a Thunderbirds fan from the stuff behind me. And that film is not good. But he plays John Tracy in that. And I actually thought that the actor that played John Tracy was pretty good. So, yeah, I like this actor. Lex do you pronounce that Shrapnel? Lex Shrapnel. It's a good name for an actor, if ever there was one. George Jacks has got a relatively small role. His character, sorry to say it, not his acting, but I found his character very one-dimensional. They didn't give him any nuance to play with whatsoever. He was just a rude cunt, basically. And I just felt you could have given him a bit more nuance. So Josh Tadeki is one of the best actors in the show. Got to say, he's really good, really natural. Love him. There's a number of Spanish actors in the show that are very good. Leanne Best, I've seen in stuff before. I rate her as an actress. And all of the Spanish actors I really like. I particularly like Bruno Sevilla, who plays the detective who's trying not to get corrupted, and the Lord are doing their best to fuck up his career good and proper. So is it any good? Okay. At the minute, for me, it's like a 7 out of 10. I haven't got to the end of the season yet. It's a mixed bag. For me, at the minute, it's a 7 out of 10. What I like about it is I like the way it looks. I love the use of music. I love the use of the 80s soundtrack. I mean, look, in the first episode alone, you've got about, I think it's about 15 80s pop hits. I mean, I bet they can't wait to bring out the soundtrack for this. And of course, I like my 80s music. It's the era that I grew up in. And I really enjoyed those tunes. And then what you need to understand is it's a certain type of show. It's a borderline parody because actors will stop and simultaneously all sing the lines to a song that's on the radio, like they're almost in a musical. Almost, not quite, almost in a musical. And then it'll all snap back to the scene. And that's very that's very Nick Love, that style. And but I liked it. I didn't mind it. That's one of the things about it I really liked. I quite liked the surrealness of the show. Where it let itself down a bit, to be honest, if I've got a criticism, it's in the writing. The acting is all, the acting's a mixed bag, but there's some really good people. There was no one I thought, what are they doing in this? It's a good cast. The acting is consistent, and some of it's very good. Some of it is excellent. But what lets it down in places is the writing. Some of the characters are very underwritten. Some of them are extremely two-dimensional. George Jacks, they didn't give him anything to do other than just to be a horrible idiot. And I just think that the characters needed a bit more nuance. Jason Flemyng does a great job with the stuff that he's given, but his character needs some other dimensions. And I just wanted to see some more sides to him. Martha Plimpton got the most well-rounded character in the show, and she did an awful lot with what she was given. The plot is not bad. The plot and the story is okay. It's all right. It serves the show well, but I just think it could be, the whole thing just could be a little bit better with the writing. So for me at the minute, it's a 7 out of 10. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Would I watch a second season of it? Yes, I would. Would I be rushing to binge watch it as soon as it came out with the second season? It probably wouldn't be my first binge watch of the week. No. But I'll be interested to see where it goes. I like what they've done with it so far. I like the style. I like the production design. I would like to see a bit more of the world. The world feels very small. Even though they've tried to make it feel big, it does feel like it was all shot in 4 locations. Yes, it was all shot overseas, but it just, the world feels a bit small. I want to see a couple more 80s bars. I know that's a big production expense, but, if you're going to do a show set in the 80s, you've got to fork out for a couple of things like that. So I want to see a couple more 80s bars in Spain. I want to see a strip. I want to see a CGI shot that's, just film a small area with your key cast in, but I want a big shot of the backdrop of how it looked back then. And you can do that for not a huge sum of money. It's just that they're probably tight about that sort of thing. They probably don't want to spend it on that kind of stuff. But not a bad show. Should you watch it? If you're a fan of the 80s, if you're a fan of 80s music, if you like crime dramas that don't take themselves too seriously, and you like cartoonish type characters, that's what it is. It's a meat and potatoes fun show that's got no pretense about being anything else. It's a bit kitsch, it's a bit quirky, it's a lot of fun. Don't take it too seriously and you'll probably enjoy it. If you're looking for the next Shield, or you're looking for Rise of the Foot Soldiers set in Spain, this is not it. Okay, it's not that kind of show. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, what else have I seen? Let's get rid of that and put that down. Boom. I've seen a few other things this week. I have seen the latest. I think I've seen the last episode, the season finale of Black Mafia Family. Just want to give a shout out to an actress on that show. I've mentioned her before. And I'm going to mention her again because I think she's outstanding. So the show's called BMF. It's the true story of two brothers and their rise into crime and so on. And the person that I want to give a shout out to, the actress, let me get a good still of her because they must have one, surely. So look, no, she's not in that picture. So shame. Well, BMF, while I'm looking for the photo of this lady, BMF has a really good cast. That's one of the things that makes it so watchable. Really good cast, really good production design. Again, it's set in the 80s and 90s, early 90s. And it is about two brothers who go into a life of crime, but it's also about their mother, their father, and all the other people around them, and how their life choices impact those people. And that's why I like it. It's interesting. It's really well made, and it's got, you know, a cast with first-rate acting chops. I mean, these are really good actors. And some of them are not that experienced. Some of them have only got a few credits. There's a couple of people, I think it's their first show. It's I think it's available on Amazon. I think I've been watching it on Amazon. Oh man, come on now. Let me find this. Is it Brianna White? Is that what I'm thinking of? Man, maybe it is. Yes, it is. God, she looks so glamorous in her pictures. I didn't recognize her. Okay. So the actress I wanted to give a shout out to on this show, who I think is absolutely phenomenal, is Nicole Brianna White. So Michelle, is that Michelle Brianna White? So this is her here. She plays the mother, and of course, her father, her husband has an affair. So you get to see the impact that it has on her. Now, she's played a lot of these kinds of roles, the aunt, the mother, the sister, that kind of thing. You will have seen her in quite a few other... Look, she's got 67 acting credits. You would have seen her in a few other shows. I saw her in Songbirds. I know I've seen her in at least 2 or 3 other things. I do watch numbers, so I could have seen her in that Cop Shop. No, that's a different film. So there we go. Again, she was in Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I've seen every episode of that. I've seen 25th Hour. I've seen most of Chicago Hope. So she started doing things like bit parts like a nurse in the 97 disaster flick Volcano, if you remember that show. She's a really good actress, man. I mean, she plays the wounded mum going through her turmoil with her religion and other things. And this is a still from the show. I think this from season 1 when she has a proper row in the church in one of the scenes. This is what I like about this show, is it's not just another pow 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 gangster, you know, fuck you and all that. It's not just that. It has more nuance to it. The characters have more nuance. They have more depth. This, for me, is a really captivating show. This is extremely well written, extremely well directed. BMF, I recommend it. So, you know, and look, it's not going to be for everybody, okay? But I recommend it if you like that stuff. I've talked about it on my roundup before. I've just got to the end of I think it's season 2. Can't wait for the next season. Great show. Will I be watching it as soon as it comes out? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Copa, thanks. Yeah, There were 5 people. There's 2 now, so I clearly need to move on to another topic. But look, thanks for coming in and watching. I really appreciate it because I'm only a little channel and I'm growing. And whenever people come and watch me live, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. Time is valuable. So, got a couple of other shows I'm going to talk about before I call it a night because I've got to call Dickon back from the Outcast and we've got to do exciting things like rehearsal schedules, which is a bunch of fun, as you can imagine. So, okay, what else did I look at? There wasn't a new episode of South Park this week, so I didn't get to talk about South Park. There is a new episode of Wu-Tang Clan Saga, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I have seen some other things, movies, and I've started watching a documentary about a Marine who went missing from Camp Lejeune. And let me type that into Google because I want to give you guys the name of that show. So I do like my documentaries. We all watch some crime documentaries, don't we? On Netflix and so on. But Camp Lejeune is interesting because Camp Lejeune, which is a huge camp in, it's 500,000 acres or something. Camp Lejeune is a controversial army camp in America for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is because it had water contamination that was linked to several cases of cancer. There's been a book written about it. There's a documentary film been made about it called Semper Fi, Always Faithful, which I haven't seen, and I really do need to see that. But yeah, it caused a rare type of leukemia, and it impacted loads of people. There's a massive class action going on in the States about it right now. There was a huge cover-up within the army. So also on this camp, it was quite notorious for soldiers just going missing, and also sort of criminal activity. And one of the soldiers who went missing is now the subject of a documentary. I'm trying to find his name here. I've only seen the first part, Missing Marine, Camp Lejeune. And it's, right, Leroy Delaney. Thank you, Leroy Delaney. Okay, so what happened to Leroy Delaney? He was living on the camp with his bride. It's available on Hulu, by the way, this documentary. Where is Private Delaney? And I think you can also get it on Disney. I think that's where I've been watching it. And it's a really interesting documentary, and you really feel for the family. But the thing that makes me most angry is, surely the army has a vested interest in looking after its soldiers, in taking care of them. And their attitude was, well, he's gone AWOL. But he didn't have his car. He didn't have his money. It was pretty obvious he had not gone AWOL. And somebody very early on admitted to the mother that he'd been killed. And they refused to arrest this Marine. So it's absolutely outrageous. Yeah, I've seen the, by the way, Catania, I saw those adverts when I was in America. I saw them. And the script writer in me just straight away went, oh, I've got to write a script about this. And somebody should. I mean, there should be a drama series about the Camp Lejeune leukemia cancer scandal. That's a story worth telling. But what happened to this kid as well, and why don't they care? I mean, it makes my blood boil. Anyway, that's a documentary worth seeing. It's very moving. And, you should check it out. Oh, good to see you, David Macy, another one of our regulars popping in. Really appreciate it, mate. Do share the stream, hit the like button, all those things. And you've missed me talking about Lance Reddick. I spoke about him at the beginning. And I've also chatted about a couple of other shows and a couple of other actors to look out for. A Town Called Malice, Black Mafia Family, again, talking about this documentary at the minute. I'm going to watch, going to try and watch the last 2 episodes of this tonight. I'm having real trouble sleeping at the minute. So to be honest, extra shows to watch and stuff is all good. Recommendations always gratefully received. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. I think it's worth you checking out if you haven't seen it already. Okay, I think there's a couple of other things I've seen before I'm going to finish up here. Let me just check. I had a couple of others on the list. Hold on. Just bear with me. Mandalorian. Oh yes, we've got to talk about the Mandalorian. Well, now, I mean, how is it possible for you to like love and hate a show equally at the same time? I mean, how is that possible? Because I always said if I was going to direct a Star Wars movie, I would like to direct the Boba Fett movie. Now, trust me, I wouldn't want to do that now. But I always thought he was the most interesting, coolest character in the Star Wars universe when I was a kid. And so when they said they were going to do a Boba Fett series, I thought, well, this is great. We're going to see some of those other bounty hunters. We're going to see Bosk and we're going to see Dengar and so on. And we have had IG-88, or certainly a similar version of him, in the show, and it showed how, you know, really cool he was with his guns and everything. I mean, it's become the Boba and Grogu show, which for anyone watching should know that's Baby Yoda. I mean, I don't mind that. What I do mind is a 40-minute segue into a side quest that doesn't even relate to the characters that are presently on screen, that may or may not be in another timeline, that is interesting of itself as a Star Wars movie short, that if you put it on its own and just said this is a little special one-off thing we've made that shows kind of the weird direction that the New Republic is taking, in that context, it's interesting. It has nothing to do with Boba Fett. Now, it may be that we may circle back round to this and somehow this will all become relevant. And maybe Boba Fett's going to go on a mission to rescue that guy. Maybe that's going to be a contract, in which case, okay, now I see why we had this. So I'm willing to put the pause on my anger about it a little bit, because I want to see if it's going to tie into something before the end of the season. And if, listen, I'm prepared to be amazed, and it might be really clever. And there might be some amazing Mando revelation. But at the minute, it does feel like it's only Mando's show half the time. And this was the big problem with the Boba Fett show. It wasn't really Boba Fett's show. And, you know, I want to see, Mando actually do stuff. I don't think also putting him in a show with loads of other Mandalorian characters kind of detracts from him being special in the show. Does that make sense? He's not unique in his own show, because there's loads of other people that are like Mandalorian and they've got their unique skill sets and all that, but they are all Mandalorians. They've all got their cool armor and guns and whatnot. So it's kind of like now it's the Mandalorian army show is what we've got at the minute. Not, again, bad of itself, but it's funny because they keep sort of teasing that we're going to get what we kind of want, and they don't give it to us. And I think another YouTuber, Mauler, I think he made the same observation, and I have to agree with him. Where am I with the show at the minute? So I've seen episodes like episode 1 I quite liked. Episode 2 was all right. Episode 3 was like, what the fuck is happening? Episode 4 has redeemed itself. Now, let's talk about episode 4, because that's the latest one. So, okay, so I'm going to get into some spoilers. So if people haven't seen it, jump off now. But I like the flashbacks to the attack on the Jedi Temple. That was something that we didn't see enough of before. And it's great that, you know, we see that the Jedi are standing up to the clones and they're taking down quite a few of them, but, you know, they're being overwhelmed. I like the new character that they introduced in that flashback. I'm hoping we're going to get to see a bit more of him. He was kind of cool and interesting. And I just loved all those scenes. And I mean, look, I'm a soppy old fool, right? But I can't get enough of Grogu going, ooh. So I'm all up for that. But so that all of that stuff was really cool. That was much more interesting than the side quest to go and rescue the foundling who got attacked by the pterodactyl, and now they've brought back like 3 pterodactyl babies that they're going to train as Mandalorian. Is that what they were implying there? That all seemed rather odd to me. Surely they're just going to have 3 big, really huge roast chickens and, you know, some potatoes and gravy. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on the show at the minute. I'm going to do a review of the show. Cooper, it'd be great if you could come on for this if you're still there. I'd like to do a review of the show when I've seen the whole thing. I don't want to do it until I've seen the season. I was a little bit reluctant to talk about A Town Called Malice before I'd seen the final episode, but I've seen enough of it, I think, to seen 7 of the 8 episodes, so I've seen enough to make a judgment call. But yeah, Mandalorian is a frustrating show for me because it's got good things in it, but it's got terrible things and terrible choices in terms of writing and direction and steering the ship. This latest episode was directed by Cole Weathers, and that was lovely to see that. And he's always struck me as quite a nice guy. And I think he's an actor who's been underused, and it's nice to see that he's getting some work later in life. Yes, we had him in the Rocky movies and Predator and Action Jackson, but I think we could have seen him in a lot more. You know, I would have liked to have seen him in a lot more movies. I mean, maybe he wasn't up for doing small cameos and things, but and maybe I've missed some of the stuff that he's done. But he does strike me as an actor that's been underused in his day. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Mandalorian. Okay, I'm going to talk about Picard briefly before I sign off. Picard season 3 is a surprise. It's a delight and a surprise. It's interesting. It's got a good story. It's gripping. I don't mind the fact that it's one continual story. We can do without bigger bad guy spaceships. Let's have space combat between 2 ships that are relatively equal in some space battles, please. Do we always have to have the bad guy having the really big ship? You know, they're in the writer's room. What should we do to make it? Oh, let's give them a really big ship. So they've got a small ship and they'll have a really big ship. It's like, yeah, that's been done a few times. You know, why don't we like give them a similar ship and see what happens? So, yeah, but Amanda Plummer is great as the villain in Picard. Really enjoying her. Like to see the verbal fencing between Picard and Riker. Really enjoying that. I like the actor who plays the new captain. I think he's very good. It's got young Jason Flemyng in it. I forget the name of the actor, but he basically looks like young Jason Flemyng. He's a good actor. I rate him. He launched his career in that fantasy movie Aragorn, something like that. Not Aragorn. So I'm enjoying Picard season 3. I haven't even seen season 2. So I watched half of season 1, didn't like it. And I'm a big Trekkie fan. Next door, there's a lot of Star Trek ships next door. But I am enjoying it, and I like the fact that I didn't have to see any of season 2, and it all makes sense to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going. It's a very interesting space espionage story that's brought the crew back in the right way. We don't want to see a Star Trek show where a band of misfits go on a ship and go off and have adventures. That, you know, there's other shows that do that better. You know, and I'd rather go and watch those. For if I watch a Star Trek show, I want to see adventures within the Federation. That, you know, I want to see adventures within the established universe. That for me is what makes a good Star Trek show. I don't want to see all these multi-timeline tangents as well. Oh, well, Klingons look different in this timeline because now we're in the Nestor timeline or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? So is this the same timeline as the other show, or isn't it? You know, I don't want to have to be figuring all that out. Just give us, you know, give us cohesion, give us consistency. Don't keep breaking the rules of the bloody universe. But yeah, I am enjoying Picard. And if you haven't seen it and you liked your old Star Trek, I recommend watching season 3 of Picard. Don't worry about watching season 2. Don't even worry about watching season 1. Just watch season 3. I think that's it from me for this week. I normally run for an hour, but I'm gonna cut it short because I've got a production meeting with Dickon from the Outcast. We've got to talk scheduling. And so I'm going to jump back and get on that. So listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. There's been various people popping in. Yeah, Ed Spielers, he does. He looks exactly like a young Jason Flemyng. Jason and I have even had a conversation about that. And we were going to cast him as a young Jason in this movie at one point. So look, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, I've got my Yellowstone stream this Saturday. Spread the word. Me and film director Matthew Holmes, we're going to be taking apart the Yellowstone universe, talking about 1883, talking about 1923. It's going to be a lot of fun. So do check that out. That's 10 o'clock UK time. I think that's 5 o'clock East Coast, probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon LA time. So that's the next stream for the Outcast Creative channel. I've got some more interviews and stuff coming up. I can't talk about them yet, but hoping to bag a couple more interesting people real soon. So don't forget to look through the channel. Check out the Alan Graff stuntman interview that we just did. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a whole load with a load of other actors and other people from the industry. You can find them all on the channel. Search through. I am going back and I'm starting to tidy it up a bit. I'm doing a bit of secretarial work with it and admin and stuff, and getting it all looking neat and consistent. So it will be easier for you to find stuff. In the meantime, that's it from me for this evening. So thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to pick up the phone and tell somebody you miss that you love them. I'll speak to you again.